Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can see me well, but here I am. Why am I wearing a lab coat? Oh, because I tie-dyed it, so I'm super excited about it. There's that. Okay, so I'm here sharing my tea time with you. So this is a infusion of sleepy time tea and yerba mate from Peruvian's very own collection of teas. So I'm gonna drink this while I talk to you guys because, trying to express how great tea could be with great conversation, okay? And it's very hot, yeah. Okay, so I'm making a video because overpopulation has been on my mind lately. What is overpopulation? Overpopulation is when the population of a certain nation is overcrowded. It's expanded further than what its capacity could be, or should be, right? So, considering that, there's three ways to think about overpopulation. There is overpopulation at the local level, which could be communities, your neighborhood, or your city, right? And then there's a nation overpopulation, which is your entire country, or even your continent, right? And then there's a larger scale, the global scale of overpopulation, which is the entire Earth, the Earth's carrying capacity itself, So, the reason I'm making the video itself is because there's a lot of misinformation on what overpopulation really, what's really going on with the overpopulation. So, I'm just going to clarify a few things. Overpopulation, let me just double check here with my clipboard. Overpopulation is seen as something that only happens in China or India, or even Africa, right? What people don't know is that it's just the cities itself that are crowded. The land is not crowded. If you consider the amount of land per capita, the amount of people living in a certain plot of land, that is a whole nother reality than the amount of people living within a short amount of land that is a city or the urban areas of the world. Like China itself. China is an exception simply because of the amount of people that are actually already living there and the rate of expansion, and it's a whole nother game in China compared to the United States. However, when you're thinking about overpopulation in terms of Africa, it's just because of Africa is a continent, okay? It's not a country. It's a continent. A lot of people are misinformed. South Africa is kind of more overpopulated than Northern Africa. And some people are kind of misinformed also with the fact that the amount of resources available to the people versus the amount of people, okay? So somebody said that the population of Africa is rising 3 times faster than the rest of the world. Right. But you gotta consider the fact that Africa is a continent. Okay? It has about, who knows how many, I can't think of the top of my head how many countries are in Africa right now, but I can guarantee you there are more countries in Africa than the three countries that are in North America. Okay? So, when you consider that, the fact that Africa is a continent with let's just say 10 or 20 countries, okay? There's obviously gonna be more people within that continent than in one country, which is the United States, okay? And it's kind of also misinforming to the people that are living in America that have never been to Africa, me. Going to Africa, you're not gonna see a lot of people. You're not gonna see the amount of people there is in New York, simply because there's a lot of people in New York and there's a shorter like land area, you know, versus Africa is a wide expansion of land, and the amount of people within a short place of land is simply because of the amount of resources available in that area. If people are crowded along the Nile River, then that's because there's water there, and people are not going to crowd around the desert, the sub-Saharan Africa, parts of the Africa, okay? And it's also something to consider when you're thinking about the amount of resources that people are not giving them. I know some people, there's two views. There's people that are, well, you gotta work for what you want in life, you know? And then there's people that, well, nobody's helping me. Nobody's giving me what I need. So if you consider the corporations, just because a corporation is not giving you water does not mean that the earth is not filled with about 70% water, okay? There's water out there. There's not enough technology for everybody to clean their water, to filter the water, of course. But there is the water. The water is there. Just because the corporation isn't giving it to you does not mean that it's not available to us. We're just not using we're not efficiently consuming the stuff, the resources. So we gotta shift that into a more effective way. So if Africa's population is rising 3 times more than the rest of the world, in America, should we really be concerned because we're not living there? Am I gonna be concerned if the overpopulation over there is going way beyond what is right here? I'm not gonna personally see it. Just how some people don't believe in climate change because they can't see it, you know? But my point is that who's gonna care? How are people gonna get me, somebody that's not living in Africa, to care about the overpopulation over there? Simple solution is that the resources that are in the world are being unequally distributed. They're distributed towards the more wealthier, like more rich nations, you know, like America or European nations as well. And that's kind of something sad to think about, because countries are not exporting goods to Africa because there's no money in Africa. And it's all about money. If you're gonna be honest if we're gonna be honest, money is a root of why poverty is happening, why hunger is happening, why overpopulation is tied into the fact that there's no resources available for the people. Overpopulation is a myth, okay? There's that. Overpopulation is not real. There might be crowded cities, but overpopulation itself is not real. I'm gonna let you think about that for a second. Okay, so considering that there's another research, there is a research here that says that overpopulation is not directly correlated to poverty, to hunger, sorry. So poverty is a real cause of hunger. What that means is that what I was just talking about, the unequal distribution, that the wealthier people are getting the goods rather than the people that need it. And that's worse. You know what I'm saying? It's worse to think that people, just because they're poor, they don't need to eat. What kind of world are we living in? You know, it's ridiculous, right? And there's no need to blame each other. There's no need to blame the pregnant mothers that are giving birth, giving life to a new human being, to a new soul, let's say. There's no purpose in blaming them when the real problem is the corporations themselves selling the resources that they have to the wealthy people. They're not giving them away because there's no money in giving them away. There's no profit. And yeah, I get it. Hard work is an issue. Hard work, you create a business, you make money, you have the goods, you're gonna be selective. That's completely honorable. However, that does not mean that the little kids in Africa or in Guatemala or in Brazil, they don't deserve to eat. They do. They need to meet their daily requirements just like you do. They need to have their 1,000, 2,000 calories a day. They need to have water, the 3 liters of water every day. If not, they're gonna die. And food is the direct way of not dying. You can go a couple days without eating. You can actually go a month, I think. I think it's a month or 2 without eating. You can't go like more than a week without drinking water. But that doesn't mean that they're gonna produce it. They're not gonna be top producers. You're talking to people that are top producers. Big corporations. Sorry, oh man, somebody just turned on the light in the back. Okay, maybe that's better. No, that doesn't help. But I'm gonna have to deal with sitting like this. Okay. So, top producers are not going to give money. Top producers are not gonna give money to people that can't work because they might be sick or ill. They might deal with trauma. Who knows? People are dealing with war out there. These top producers, they don't care about that. They're like, where's my paycheck? I need the money. Let's go get it. Grind, hustle, you know? And that's the mentality that they're living in, okay? They're not slowing down from their top performance charts, graphs. They're moving up. And that's another thing to think about. When you're part of that lifestyle, there's no way to think about the smaller people. And they're not even smaller because they produce, they make up more than 2/3 of the population. Okay? The top 1%, controls the amount of food, the amount of resources we're getting. And that's fine if they did it correctly, but they're not doing it correctly. So that's another thing to think about. So there's a man out there by the name of Thomas Malthus. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But this guy, he did research talking about how population is going in an exponential growth rather than the linear growth of resources, the available resources. So, simply put, I'll draw it out for people. Sorry. Simply put, okay. Wow, it's like so sad you can't even see it. Okay. On the y-axis on the top is the amount of people, okay? And on the x-axis is the amount of time, okay? So, y is people and x is time. So, okay, in the first one, it's not people. Why is not people? Why is resources? X is time. And number 2, Y is people, X is time. So, essentially, the amount of time there is, in a given amount of time, the amount of resources are going to be increasing at this linear rate. Okay? In this amount of time, the population is going to increase at this rate. This is called exponential growth. This is called linear growth. So, essentially, with having that in mind, the population is moving at a linear growth, and the amount of the population is moving at exponential growth, and the resources are going at linear growth. So there's that. So he's saying that overpopulation is going to essentially have us all run out of resources and such, which, okay, they're very valid points. Very valid. However, technology is also going at an exponential growth. Technology, people are forgetting that there's another thing going on here. Technology is going exponentially as well. Within the last 200 and now 16 years, the technological revolution has exponentially increased remarkably. Okay? You had typewriters. Then you had huge phones, right? Then you had the computer. Then you have laptops, the cell phone. Now you have tablets. You have apps. You have beautiful, beautiful technology, exponentially growing. You have Apple Watches. You have Uber. I don't know what else you need, you know? You have machines in your kitchen that boil water in less than a minute for you. How wonderful. What a time to be alive. Okay? So, with that in mind, we are not using that correctly either. We are not going to Africa and giving them the technology. We're not even giving it to the people here. In my health class, I learned that there's a thing called the obesity paradox. That means that the people that are more obese or more predisposed to gain weight, they are eating unhealthier foods. Well, obviously. And it's because it's cheaper. And the reason they're doing that is because they're poor. They don't have money. They don't have the income to go to the nice stores, buy themselves healthier food. Or they probably don't even have the time because they're working all the time to make the little amount of money that they do get. Okay? So, they're gaining more weight because of the stress, the work, the time. They don't have the time to prepare their food. They're gaining more weight. They're gaining more health problems. Versus the people that have billions of dollars to spare. They can just hire people to cook really nice fancy meals for them, and then they're not going to gain the weight that the other people are going to gain. And that's because they have money. The rich people, they may eat more, they may have more money to eat, but they're not gaining weight. The poor people are gaining weight. And at a subconscious level, human beings kind of have these it's in our subconscious that when we get these impressions of people and they're a little bit more chunkier, they have more weight on them, we kind of think, oh, they're better off, they're more well off because they must eat well, or whatever it is that our subconscious likes to think. And now that is getting messed up. It's being messed up now. So now we see a skinny person and we're like, oh, they must be eating well. So that's where the evolution of the human relations and the human being, the human genome is going towards. So that's another thing to think about. And I mean, honestly, I've seen it happen. People go to McDonald's when they have $3. You know, I'm poor, and I go to like the dollar store and get myself like those little cup noodles, you know, and they're gonna fill me up, you know. So that's another thing to think about. It's not because of the amount of money that the people are gaining weight. It's because of the actual like costs of the weight, the amount of time and everything. So on my last note, before my laptop dies, I'm going to talk about the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. So they said that the world, the earth itself, the beautiful planet, beautiful rock that we stand on every day, produces enough calories we produce 2,700 calories per person per day. We're able to give everybody that much food, that much supplements, that much health. Every single human being per person in a day for at least 20 years, and it's not changing. It's not decreasing. It's actually going in a linear way, correct? So, with that in mind, there is enough food out there. There is enough resources out there. There might not be enough natural resources, fossil fuels, which are also harming the planet. But that's another topic. But back to the food and overpopulation, it is not like, it is not as if we don't have the food to spare. In America, we do throw away a lot of food. There are some people that eat dinner with a large group of people and then throw away the food that they don't eat because it looks nasty if you take the food home, you know? If that makes sense. Well, I'm sure that it probably doesn't to most people, but it is very real. So, considering the fact that we do have enough food for everybody, why don't you share a meal with somebody? Share a meal. Give somebody the opportunity to not pay. Somebody that really needs it. Not somebody that could like obviously eat for themselves, but you know, somebody that doesn't have the resources. Invite them for a healthy meal. Talk to them about these things, you know? It's very helpful. It changes people's lives, okay? Aside from the fact that like, a lot of people kind of don't do that. A lot of people are not doing stuff that could easily help everybody. A lot of people are not giving food to the people in need, the people that don't have money or time. You know, they might be working their butts off, yet they don't have the money still. They have to pay other things, you know, pay shelter. There's some people kind of live for others. Some parents live for their child. They'd rather have their children eat than them eat themselves. Okay? People aren't like saving their resources. Grocery stores are not, they're just throwing away stuff. I used to work in a grocery store. They throw away pounds of food that don't get sold because of the profit. And they can't give it to the people on the street because it's against the law. Maybe we should do something about that. Why don't we do something about how grocery stores throw away food for no reason because it's against the law? France already did it. I know a lot of people are very interested in France, so why don't we go ahead and follow their lead? So that's something else to think about. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I hope that you learned at least one new thing today. And I hope that you're able to share the knowledge, the beautiful knowledge, because it might be the only thing that we have left.